They discovered a Class 15 Deathworld, but humanity was already their HFY stories. The year was 2197 when the galaxy's most advanced exploration vessel, the Horizon, made an unexpected discovery. Deep within an uncharted region of space, a planet had been located, one that immediately raised alarms across the United Galactic Council. It was designated as Class 15 on the Deathworld scale, a system used to categorize planets based on the danger they pose to any and all life forms attempting to colonize them. A Class 15 world was the most lethal classification, reserved for planets that were so hostile they were considered impossible to survive on without significant technological or biological adaptation. From the preliminary scans, the Horizon had detected extreme radiation levels, a supercharged magnetic field, and violent storms that could tear apart entire fleets. The surface was constantly shifting with volcanic activity, while the atmosphere was toxic to any known form of life. In other words, this was a planet where death was not only inevitable, it was omnipresent. But as the crew began their mission, expectations of discovering a barren, lifeless rock quickly began to unravel. It wasn't the planet that was strange, though, but the signs of life that seemed to defy all logic. Reports came in from the sensors. Strange structures dotted the planet's surface, massive towers built from an unknown material, technology far too advanced to be of alien origin, yet still unmistakably organic. The structures appeared as if they were alive, pulsating with energy. They were arranged in patterns, almost deliberately. Something intelligent was at work here. The crew's initial assumption was that this planet had once hosted an alien civilization, perhaps one that had died off due to the planet's lethal conditions. But the more they dug, the stranger it became. A message in the alien language, somehow translatable through their systems, flickered across their communication screens. "We were here first. Humanity was here long before you." Confusion spread across the ship. Humanity? The galaxy was filled with countless species, but no one had ever even heard rumors of a human presence on a Class 15 world. It wasn't long before the truth became clear. Humanity had, in fact, been there all along. As the crew made their way to the surface, they uncovered records, data caches buried deep within the planet's surface, encrypted and hidden for centuries. The records detailed an expedition from Earth, launched over 300 years ago, long before the formation of the Galactic Council. It was a mission of survival, not conquest. The human explorers had come to the Class 15 world out of desperation. Earth had been on the brink of collapse, overpopulated, resource depleted, and facing extinction. The humans had discovered this hostile planet during their early spacefaring days and had taken an enormous risk. They terraformed it, adapted, and thrived, making it their home despite the brutal environment. The planet had become their sanctuary, a place where they had used their ingenuity to not just survive, but flourish. They had mastered bioengineering to an extraordinary degree, adapting to the planet's hostile atmosphere and its lethal wildlife. Humanity, it turned out, was the true native species of this death world. The records spoke of a desperate struggle for survival, of how humans had learned to genetically modify themselves to withstand the planet's extreme conditions, enhanced vision to see through the dense, toxic air, reinforced bones to survive the crushing gravity, and regenerative abilities to heal from the constant threat of violent storms and alien creatures. It was then that the crew discovered something even more shocking. The structures on the surface were not ruins. They were functioning, powered by technology that still pulsed with life. The humans who had settled here had never left. They had adapted so completely to the world's brutal environment that they had become part of it, biologically and technologically intertwined with the planet itself. One of the crew members, Dr. Ilara Dune, a xenobiologist, made the most astonishing discovery. Humanity had evolved into something new. The people of this death world were no longer entirely human in the traditional sense. They had merged with the planet, becoming a symbiotic species, inextricably linked to the very fabric of the Class 15 world they had once struggled to survive on. "What does this mean for us?" asked Captain Rouser, his voice filled with awe and unease. "Are we even welcome here?" Dr. Dune looked up from her findings, her face pale but determined. "I think they've been waiting for us. They want us to understand. They want us to adapt as they did. This isn't just a message, it's an invitation." The humans who had colonized this death world were not invaders, they were pioneers. Their survival had been a testament to their determination and ingenuity. And now, they were offering that knowledge to the galaxy, to any species brave enough to make the same sacrifices. As the Horizon's crew prepared to return to the Council, a new message flashed across their screens. A final message from the descendants of humanity on the Deathworld. You call it a Deathworld, we call it home. And so, the discovery was made clear to the galaxy. Humanity had not only survived in the harshest environment imaginable, but they had conquered it. They were no longer merely survivors. They were a testament to the relentless spirit of human willpower. The galaxy had learned a new lesson. When humanity sets its sights on something, even the deadliest of worlds can become a home. They discovered a Class 15 Deathworld, but humanity was already there. HFY stories continued. The message from the descendants of humanity on the Class 15 Deathworld spread like wildfire across the galaxy. The United Galactic Council was in an uproar. The revelation that humanity had not only survived on a planet once thought uninhabitable but had adapted and thrived. There was a game changer. Species that had once looked down on humanity as a young and inexperienced race now had to confront a much different reality. The Council dispatched more ships to the planet, eager to learn about humanity's mysterious adaptation and the potential for this newfound technology. Earth's representatives, under the leadership of Counselor Mira Vance, were both excited and anxious. They knew this discovery would reshape everything: how the galaxy viewed humanity, how humanity viewed itself, and how all species would navigate their future interactions. As the next wave of exploration vessels arrived, the true extent of humanity's transformation on the Deathworld began to reveal itself. The humans that had settled the planet weren't just survivors, they had become part of it, a blend of human biology and the harsh environment they had mastered. Dr. Elara Dune and her team had discovered that the human settlers had achieved what was once thought impossible. They had evolved, not just biologically but also mentally and spiritually, merging with the world that had once been their greatest adversary. Their physical enhancements allowed them to breathe the toxic air, survive the crushing gravity, and endure the violent weather patterns that would have killed any other species. But their real transformation was deeper. Their minds had become attuned to the planet's rhythms, capable of sensing danger in ways that were beyond the capabilities of even the most advanced artificial intelligences. They communicated in a way that was not entirely verbal, part telepathic, part symbiotic. It was as if they had become one with the planet itself, not in a way that diminished their humanity, but rather enhanced it, forging a new path forward for their kind. The first human representative to meet with the new council delegation was Arya Solis, a descendant of the original settlers. She stood tall, her presence commanding, though her eyes gleamed with a deep, ancient wisdom. She spoke not with arrogance but with a quiet confidence, as though she knew something the rest of the galaxy did not. We didn't just survive, she began, her voice carrying a soft but undeniable strength. We transformed. Our world, our Deathworld, is alive with the knowledge we have gained. We are no longer the species that left Earth in search of a new home. We are something greater. We have become a part of the universe itself. The delegates, a mix of various species from across the galaxy, listened intently. For the first time, they saw humanity not as an emerging force but as something far more profound, a species that had learned to not just adapt to the harshest environment but to thrive in it. We have discovered what the universe truly is, Arya continued. It is not just survival, it is evolution, it is understanding, and it is integration with the world around us. We are not simply creatures of flesh and blood anymore. We are living with the planet, breathing its air, sensing its heartbeats, and feeling its storms. Our bond is symbiotic, and it has made us stronger than we could have ever imagined. Counselor Vance stepped forward, her face a mixture of admiration and concern. But what does this mean for the rest of us? Can we survive here? Can we learn from your people? And, most importantly, are we safe? Arya's eyes softened. It is not about safety. It is about commitment. You must be willing to make sacrifices, to live with the planet, to give as much as you take. The journey we have taken is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who are willing to see the world with new eyes, to understand that survival is not enough. But what about the dangers? Captain Rouser, who had been part of the first exploratory team, asked, still skeptical. The planet's storms, the beasts that roam the surface, how did you manage? Arya's smile was almost sad. We didn't just fight the dangers. We learned from them. The creatures, the storms, they are part of the planet, just as we are, and we have learned to live with them. Not as conquerors, but as stewards. We are not here to control this world. We are here to coexist with it. That is the secret of survival here. The room was silent for a moment, the weight of her words sinking in. For the first time, the galaxy saw humanity not as a new force, but as a living example of evolution in action, of what could be achieved when a species stopped running from adversity and embraced it. As the council discussed what the future would hold, one thing became clear: humanity had set a new standard for resilience, for adaptability, and for cooperation. While other species in the galaxy had focused on technology and power, humanity had shown that true strength lay in unity with the planet, with each other, and with the universe at large. In the days that followed, representatives from every corner of the galaxy came to the Deathworld, seeking to learn from the humans who had unlocked the ultimate secret of survival. The planet was no longer just a death trap, it had become a symbol of hope, of what could be achieved when a species was willing to change, to grow, and to understand. And the humans on the Deathworld? They welcomed their visitors with open arms, ready to share the knowledge and wisdom they had gathered over centuries. They weren't just teaching survival, they were teaching what it meant to truly live. In time, the Class 15 Deathworld was no longer feared, it was revered, and humanity, the first species to conquer it, became known as the galaxy's greatest teachers. They had proven that no world, no matter how deadly, was beyond the reach of those who dared to call it home. And so, the galaxy would remember, when humanity faces a death world, it does not just survive, it thrives. They discovered a Class 15 death world, but humanity was already there. HFY stories continued. As the years passed, the galaxy began to shift in ways no one had anticipated. The discovery of humanity's conquest over the Class 15 death world had ignited a spark of curiosity, respect, and even fear among the galaxy's more powerful species. Yet, despite this newfound respect, there was still much to be learned about the humans who had made the Deathworld their home. The first human settlements on the Deathworld had grown into a thriving civilization. Their cities, once small and rudimentary, had expanded into towering metropolises built into the very terrain of the planet. The landscape was as brutal and unforgiving as it had been centuries ago. But now, the humans had carved out a space where life could flourish in the most hostile environment imaginable. Arya Solis, now a respected leader among the settlers, stood before a newly formed interspecies council, one created in the wake of humanity's remarkable achievement. As she spoke, her voice resonated with authority, not because of her title, but because of the strength and wisdom that radiated from her very being. We have shown the galaxy that survival is not just about strength, it's about adaptability. It's about respect for the environment, for the life around you, and for the resilience that comes from working with the world, not against it. This is not a lesson we claim to have perfected. It is a lesson we are still learning, and we invite the galaxy to join us in that learning. Her words hung in the air, challenging every species that had ever looked at Earth's people as weak or primitive. Now, humanity had proven they could take on a death world and turn it into a sanctuary, a place of life, growth, and understanding. The other species, once skeptical of humanity's place in the galaxy, now saw that the human race was not just capable of survival, it was capable of evolution in ways no one had imagined. The galaxy's great powers began sending ambassadors to the death world to witness humanity's way of life firsthand. The Andarii, a race of telepathic beings known for their advanced psionic abilities, were the first to arrive. Their species had long studied the stars, but they were mystified by humanity's ability to not only survive on such a planet but to thrive. They had faced their own trials, but nothing had prepared them for what they found. "We thought we understood survival," said Dr. Valekthar, an Andarii scientist, standing with Arya on the planet's surface. "But your people, you've gone beyond survival. You've become one with the planet. I don't know if we could ever achieve something like that." Arya's smile was gentle. "It's not about becoming something greater than ourselves. It's about understanding the balance between what we are and what we must become to live in harmony with this world. Perhaps it is something you will one day discover as well." As the Andarii watched, the bond between humanity and the planet became clearer. The settlers moved through the harsh environments with an ease that had taken years to develop, climbing jagged cliffs, navigating through lightning storms, and swimming across lakes filled with dangerous, unpredictable creatures. Their bodies had adapted to the planet's gravity, their lungs to the toxic air, and their senses to the constant electromagnetic fields that would have driven most species mad. But it wasn't just physical adaptations that had allowed humanity to conquer the Deathworld. It was the collective understanding that they were part of the ecosystem, not above it. The settlers had worked with the planet, learning its rhythms, studying its most dangerous creatures, and finding ways to coexist. They communicated not only with each other but with the planet's biosphere, an ancient connection that gave them insights into the land, the animals, and even the storms themselves. One day, as Arya and Thar observed a group of settlers interacting with a massive, storm-brewing cloud that had appeared on the horizon, the Andariai scientist asked a question that had been on his mind since his arrival. "How did you find the courage to embrace this, to live here when the world was so hostile to your kind?" Arya paused, her eyes scanning the horizon, as if she were searching for an answer from the very planet that had shaped her. After a long moment, she spoke softly. "We didn't have a choice. At first, we came to this world because there was nowhere else to go. But over time, we realized that this world was not our enemy. It was our teacher. It taught us the meaning of perseverance, of humility, and of unity. It showed us that true strength comes not from dominating the world, but from learning to live with it." Thar, moved by her words, nodded slowly. The Andariai, known for their wisdom, understood the depth of Arya's message. It was not just about survival, it was about evolution, about transcending what others thought was possible. "We were wrong to doubt your people," Thar admitted. "The galaxy underestimated you. You have shown us that survival is not just about living, it's about living in harmony with the world around you. You have proven that humanity is capable of achieving greatness in ways we never imagined." As the years passed, more species followed the Andariai's lead. Some came to learn, others to witness the impossible, and a few to test whether humanity's transformation could be replicated. Many species were eager to study the humans' genetic adaptations, hoping to apply them to their own kind. The settlers of the Deathworld, however, were careful with their knowledge. They shared what they could, but always emphasized that the key to their success was not in replicating the exact same changes, but in understanding the deeper connection between species and the worlds they inhabited. In the end, humanity became known across the galaxy as the greatest teachers of resilience and adaptability. The Deathworld was no longer viewed as a place of certain death, but as a living, breathing testament to the strength of the human spirit. And humanity? They had not just survived the Deathworld, they had made it their home. It was a home where every storm was a lesson, every creature a reminder of the beauty in survival, and every challenge an opportunity for growth. And as the galaxy looked on, they realized that humanity wasn't just a species among many. They were the epitome of what it meant to endure and to thrive, no matter the odds. The Deathworld was no longer feared, it was revered. And humanity, the first to conquer it, had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to be home. They discovered a Class 15 Deathworld, but humanity was already there. HFY stories continued. As the years unfolded, humanity's influence over the galaxy grew. Not just in terms of power or territory, but in the quiet, lasting impact they had on the very fabric of interspecies relationships. What began as an extraordinary tale of survival had blossomed into a movement, a galaxy-wide awakening to the profound strength of unity, adaptation, and respect for the harsh environments they all inhabited. The United Galactic Council, once filled with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity toward humanity, now sought counsel from Earth's representatives on every matter, from diplomacy to environmental stewardship. The once young race now found themselves at the center of intergalactic efforts to cultivate more sustainable relationships between species and the worlds they lived on. However, not all species were content with humanity's rapid rise. There were whispers in the shadows of the galaxy, from older civilizations who had long seen themselves as the pinnacle of existence. These ancient species, one of them being the Tsar, a race of immense intelligence and power, viewed humanity's rise as a threat to their carefully maintained order. They had seen what humanity had done on the Deathworld and feared that such adaptability could one day outpace them. They began to plot, working behind the scenes to create a challenge that would test humanity's survival instincts once more. The first move came quietly. A fleet of Tsar warships, disguised as humanitarian aid vessels, entered the Deathworld's orbit. At first, they made overtures of peace, offering resources, technology, and assistance in furthering humanity's transformation. Humanity, ever open to exchange, welcomed the offers. They invited the Tsar to share their knowledge, but with a watchful eye, aware of the galaxy's turbulent political landscape. However, as the Tsar began their work on the Deathworld's surface, the humans started noticing something strange: their carefully cultivated environment, the delicate balance of their cities, the thriving ecosystems they had nurtured, began to deteriorate. Arya Solis, ever vigilant, called a council of Earth's top leaders and scientists. After weeks of investigation, they made an unsettling discovery. The Tsar had been subtly introducing invasive species and toxins into the planet's biosphere, trying to accelerate humanity's evolutionary process according to their own ideas of what the Deathworld should be. They think they can rush what we've taken centuries to achieve, Arya said, her voice icy with determination. But this world is not theirs to manipulate. This is our home. The Tsar's plot was revealed in the most devastating way possible. A new strain of genetically modified plants, designed to improve the planet's agriculture, began to spread out of control. It choked off natural habitats, destabilizing ecosystems, and even began altering the planet's atmosphere. This act of covert sabotage ignited a fierce conflict between the Tsar and humanity. For the first time in decades, humanity found itself at war, not with the planet, not with the beasts of the Deathworld, but with a galactic power that underestimated their resolve. Arya Solis led the charge. The settlers of the Deathworld, now fully adapted to their environment, were no longer just human in the traditional sense. Their bodies, mind, and even their spirits had merged with the planet. They had learned to work with the world in ways no one else could understand. The planet itself became their ally, reacting to their needs, helping them defend their home. Humanity's response to the Tsar's invasion was swift and decisive. Through a combination of biotechnological defenses and a deep, innate connection to the planet, the humans managed to stave off the Tsar's attempts to dominate. Their battle tactics, rooted in a profound understanding of the Deathworld's rhythms and dangers, were unlike anything the Tsar had encountered. They fought not just as soldiers, but as living extensions of the planet itself. The Tsar's forces were initially disoriented by the unexpected resistance. Their sophisticated weapons faltered against the environment's brutal extremes, and their highly trained soldiers struggled to adapt to the Deathworld's hostile conditions. Meanwhile, humanity, already perfectly attuned to the terrain, rallied together with their allies, the creatures of the Deathworld, and began pushing the Tsar back. In one of the most critical moments, Arya Solis stood atop a precipice, watching as the planet's ancient storms, long dormant, began to churn in response to the human forces below. The sky darkened, and lightning split the heavens, while the very earth trembled. It was as if the planet itself was answering the call to defend the people who had become its caretakers. "Do you feel that?" she asked her closest companions, her voice barely audible over the roar of the storm. "It's the planet. It's awake again." Her words rang true. The Deathworld, once a threat, was now a partner. The Tsar could not comprehend the depth of this bond, nor could they contend with a force so intimately intertwined with the land they sought to conquer. The Deathworld's very storms rose up as protectors of humanity, knocking the invaders off course, while the settlers' intricate bioengineering allowed them to thrive in the chaos. After weeks of battle, the Tsar realized their efforts were futile. The balance of power had irrevocably shifted. Humanity's unique connection to the Deathworld was something they could not hope to replicate. Reluctantly, the Tsar withdrew, their arrogance shattered, and their hopes of controlling the planet crushed. The galaxy watched in awe, recognizing humanity's unparalleled ability to adapt, fight, and ultimately protect what was theirs. It wasn't just about surviving a Class 15 Deathworld anymore. It was about defending their home, and in doing so, proving that humanity was not just another species in the galaxy, it was a force to be reckoned with. When the war ended, the galaxy learned a new lesson: never underestimate humanity's bond to the worlds they call home. The United Galactic Council, after seeing the tenacity and unity humanity displayed in the face of invasion, began to change its policies. New regulations were passed to prevent the meddling of outside forces in the ecosystems of other planets. And on the Deathworld, humanity's presence was solidified, not as invaders, but as the planet's true caretakers. Arya Solis stood before the council once more, this time with a quiet pride in her heart. "Let this be the last lesson you need," she said, her voice unwavering. "We are not just survivors, we are stewards of the worlds we live on. If you challenge that, you challenge us all." And with that, the galaxy understood. The Deathworld had become a symbol of humanity's strength, adaptability, and unwavering determination to protect what was theirs. Humanity had not only conquered the Class 15 Deathworld, it had made it their home, and the galaxy would never be the same again. They discovered a Class 15 Deathworld, but humanity was already there. HFY stories continued. The Tsar were gone, but the ripples of their attempted invasion would continue to reverberate across the galaxy for years to come. The humans on the Deathworld had not only defended their home, they had proven to the galaxy that they could take on the greatest challenges, not just survive, but come out stronger, more united, and more capable than ever before. But even as the dust settled, humanity knew that the Tsar would not be the last to challenge their place in the galaxy. The universe had watched them with wary eyes, and though many had come to respect them, others, those who still saw humanity as a new and untested species, began to view their rapid rise with suspicion. Arya Solis, now a leader both among her people and within the broader intergalactic community, knew this. She had heard the murmurs, whispers of a new faction forming, a coalition of species that feared humanity's growing influence. The Tsar had been just the beginning, as humanity spread across the stars, leaving their mark on every corner of the galaxy. New threats would inevitably emerge. It was not the Tsar, nor any other individual species, that posed the greatest danger. It was the possibility of humanity being misunderstood, underestimated, or worse, deliberately sabotaged by those who still saw them as too young, too unpredictable. Humanity's very existence on the Deathworld was an affront to the established order, and that order would not remain unchallenged forever. And yet, humanity's resilience was unparalleled. The lessons of the Deathworld had taught them not just to fight, but to understand and adapt, to use both their minds and their hearts to find ways to overcome any obstacle. A new era of peace was beginning to unfold, one where humanity was no longer just trying to survive the galaxy, but where they had become one of its foremost protectors, allies, and leaders. The United Galactic Council, having witnessed humanity's incredible journey, moved to integrate Earth's representatives into more critical decision-making positions. The humans who had once been viewed as a fringe species were now positioned at the center of galactic diplomacy, technology, and environmental stewardship. But not all was as peaceful as it seemed. One evening, Arya received an encrypted message from an unexpected source, a secretive faction, composed of some of the oldest, most influential races in the galaxy, calling themselves the Concord of the Eclipsed. This shadow group, formed in response to humanity's growing influence, had one primary goal: to prevent humanity from rising further. The message was brief, but the implications were immediate. The Concord had already begun to work against humanity's interests, covertly undermining Earth's trade deals, sabotaging key technological initiatives, and spreading disinformation about humanity's supposed intentions. The goal was clear: to create doubt about humanity's place in the galaxy, to portray them as a threat rather than an ally. Arya's mind raced. She had known that resistance to humanity's rise would come. But this, a covert operation, a conspiracy of the galaxy's most powerful races, was something else entirely. The threat was not one she could face with brute force alone. She gathered a select group of leaders, diplomats, and military strategists. Together, they crafted a plan, not for war, but for peace and understanding. They needed to show the galaxy that humanity's rise wasn't just an accident of survival, but a conscious effort to help the galaxy thrive together, to prove to the Concord and any others who doubted humanity's worth that they were not a species that could be easily manipulated or taken down. Arya stood before the gathered group in the council chamber, her voice calm but fierce with determination. "We will not fight them with weapons," Not this time. This is a war of perception and trust. We must show the galaxy that humanity's strength lies not in how we fight, but in our ability to adapt, to grow, and to unite those who have been divided for far too long. Our greatest weapon is the truth of who we are. They would not stand by and allow the galaxy to be torn apart by fear and misinformation. This time, humanity would use its greatest strengths, its ingenuity, its compassion, and its ability to bring diverse groups together for something greater than just survival. They would prove that the Deathworld was not just a testament to humanity's endurance, but a symbol of how any world, no matter how hostile, could be transformed with enough courage, unity, and respect. The plan unfolded quickly. Humanity's diplomats traveled to key systems, establishing connections with smaller, neutral factions in the galaxy. They opened their doors to the very races that had once questioned their place among the stars, demonstrating the vast knowledge and technology that had helped them thrive on a death world. But more than that, they began to share their story, the true story of how they had come to this point. In the farthest corners of the galaxy, humanity's message of peace and unity resonated. Species that had once been wary of Earth began to question the narrative that had been carefully crafted by the Concord. The true nature of humanity's rise, built not on conquest, but on mutual respect, resilience, and an unshakable desire to help others, could not be easily ignored. And yet, the Concord was persistent. They struck back, trying to sabotage humanity's alliances, to divide the growing coalition of peace and progress that humanity had sparked. They attempted to frame humanity as manipulators, as potential conquerors, but the evidence was too strong. The stories of human settlers on the Deathworld, living in harmony with the planet, were told again and again, each retelling showing the galaxy that humanity was not a threat, but a beacon of hope. In a final gambit, the Concord orchestrated a galaxy-wide summit, inviting all major powers to discuss the future of intergalactic relations. It was there that Arya Solis, standing alongside the leaders of numerous species that had once viewed humanity with suspicion, made her speech. "You cannot judge a species by its past, or by its origins," she said, her voice firm yet filled with compassion. "We come from a place of struggle, but it is our struggle that has made us who we are today. We have faced death in its purest form, and yet we stand here, united with you, not as conquerors, but as partners. The Deathworld we have called home is not just a place of survival. It is a testament to what we can all achieve when we work together, when we respect the worlds we inhabit, and when we fight not just for ourselves, but for each other." The Concord of the Eclipsed, seeing the unity humanity had built across the galaxy, had no choice but to retreat. Their efforts to discredit humanity failed. The galaxy had seen the truth. Humanity had not only survived the Deathworld, it had transformed it. And in doing so, it had transformed the galaxy itself. From that day forward, Earth was not just a home among the stars. It was the beacon, the guiding light for a new era of cooperation, of understanding, and of shared strength. The Deathworld was no longer a place of danger or fear, but a symbol of humanity's place in the greater universe. And as humanity's reach expanded, they would continue to prove that no challenge, no matter how deadly or insurmountable, could ever break them. And so, the galaxy learned the final, most important lesson of all: when humanity calls a place home, it doesn't just survive, it thrives, and it brings the galaxy along for the ride. They discovered a Class 15 death world, but humanity was already their HFY story's final chapter. The galaxy had begun to stabilize in the wake of humanity's triumph, with the defeat of the Concord and the firm establishment of Earth as a central player on the galactic stage. New opportunities for collaboration and growth emerged. Humanity, once considered a fringe species, brash and unpredictable, had earned its place among the stars, not by force or trickery, but by proving its strength in ways no one had expected. The Deathworld had been their proving ground, their crucible, and the entire galaxy had watched as they emerged victorious. But even in this moment of triumph, there was a new question that lingered among the galaxy's citizens: what next? Humanity had fought for its place, earned its right to be heard, but what would they do with their newfound power and respect? Arya Solis, now the head of the Galactic Environmental Council, stood in the vast observation deck of the Galactic Council Tower, staring out at the stars. The vastness of space felt different now, less cold, less distant, and more like a place where everyone truly belonged. She felt a sense of pride for how far humanity had come. The fight for survival had never been just about Earth or its people. It had been about showing that even the harshest worlds could be made into places of life, understanding, and harmony. As she gazed out, the soft hum of the communication console at her side broke the silence. It was an encrypted message from an old friend, an ally from the Tsar, someone she had come to trust despite their past enmity. Dr. Volekthar had been one of the few to understand humanity's bond with the Deathworld, and after the Tsar had withdrawn, he had extended an olive branch. Now, he had an offer that could change everything. Arya accepted the transmission. Arya Salis, Dr. Thar's voice came through, calm and measured as ever. It's time for us to talk about the future. Humanity has proven its strength, not just on the Deathworld but across the galaxy. But now, you must show everyone what happens when strength is used to build, not destroy. There are new worlds out there, worlds untouched by any civilization, and they could be the next frontier. But they won't thrive unless we learn the lessons that your people have taught us. Arya's brow furrowed as she listened. New worlds? What do you mean? We've been watching your success on the Deathworld, he continued. You've taught us that survival is not about conquering a planet, but about forging a relationship with it. There are worlds out there, dangerous worlds, Class 15 worlds and even worse, that no one has dared to touch. But we believe that with humanity's ingenuity, your understanding of resilience and adaptation, and our combined knowledge, we can change how we approach galactic exploration forever. Arya took a deep breath. This was more than just another diplomatic mission. It was a challenge, a new test for humanity's character. The opportunity to transform entire ecosystems, to show that the galaxy's darkest, most inhospitable places could be turned into havens for life, might be the key to the future. I'm listening, Arya said, her voice steady. Join us, Arya, Dr. Thar urged. The Tsar, the Andariai, and others, we all want to contribute, to help guide humanity as you've helped guide us. Together, we can go beyond just surviving the galaxy's extremes. We can make the galaxy a place where even the most dangerous worlds can be transformed into something beautiful. Arya paused, contemplating. Humanity had already overcome so much, and now it had the chance to not just change the course of their own future, but to lead the galaxy into a new era of cooperation and stewardship. The Deathworld had proven they were capable of more than anyone had imagined. What could they achieve next, if they worked together with the galaxy's greatest minds? We accept, she said, her decision firm and resolute. Humanity has shown what we can do when we fight for survival. Now, we will show the galaxy what we can do when we fight for the future. In the years that followed, humanity, working alongside allies from across the galaxy, began the greatest project ever conceived, a project of mutual stewardship, environmental restoration, and transformation. The most hostile worlds, the ones once deemed uninhabitable or too dangerous for any species to touch, became humanity's next frontier. They didn't just seek to colonize, they sought to heal, to adapt, and to live in harmony with the worlds they explored. From gas giants to black holes, from worlds with toxic atmospheres to those with gravity so crushing it would have shattered other species, humanity's influence spread. They began developing technologies to terraform, to turn barren rocks into fertile lands, to create safe zones in the harshest climates. They shared their knowledge of sustainable lifeforms and genetically engineered crops that could grow in the most hostile conditions. The Deathworlds, once the ultimate test of survival, became the model for humanity's efforts across the galaxy. The lessons learned on that deadly world, adaptability, resilience, harmony with the environment, were applied to every new challenge humanity faced. Through this cooperative effort, species began to see the real potential of working together rather than fighting for dominance. The Tsar, the Andariai, and even species once considered too distant to engage, all shared in the promise of a better, more sustainable future. They saw humanity's strength, not in battle, but in their ability to heal, to thrive, and to help others do the same. And it was not just humanity that thrived. The galaxy itself began to change, slowly but surely. The once vast and uncaring expanse of space became a network of interconnected, thriving worlds, each species contributing its unique strengths and knowledge to build something greater than the sum of its parts. A galaxy where every world, no matter how harsh, could be transformed into a place where life could grow, where harmony could exist. As Arya Solis looked out once more, this time from her office at the heart of the Galactic Environmental Council, she saw a future unlike any before. The Deathworld had been humanity's proving ground, but it was only the beginning. A galaxy that had once been divided by fear and competition was now united by a shared vision of prosperity, respect, and mutual growth. Humanity had not only shown the galaxy what it meant to survive, it had shown them what it meant to live. And the stars that once felt cold and distant now felt like home.